Hello, back in with another video. I am going to be reading part 2 of The Hybrid Murderer. Um, so I have this one and this one. I started typing it up and revising it already. I just didn't get very far, so my first part of it, you will see me switch. The first part is going to be the one I typed up, and then I'll continue with what's on paper. Just want to let you know. Okay, back. Just had to find my place. I'm sorry to say this, said Ice, but now there's a blue blood stain soaked into the flooring. There's already one in the left corner of the shed, I replied back. Ice, what the hell happened? Me, I don't want to talk about it. Ice gave me a very cold glare and yelled at me about holding very vital information. Ice, if you don't want frostbite or some very serious burns, you better start talking. I looked Ice dead in the eyes, with tears in mine, and said, "You're going to regret you asked." I yanked my chair out of the floorboards and repositioned it to face Ice. Me. It started when I found this house. I was biking through the woods with Cobra when I split paths from her and trailed the untrailed woods. I got so caught up in jumping things not meant to be jumped or run over, and somehow found this house. But first, I need to give you some backstory of why I live in this house. Found a way to buy it. The original owners died and left it to the city. I found the papers with the phone number. Turns out the city didn't want it and has been trying to get rid of it for the last decade. They can't demolish it because it would be too expensive to bring machinery out here. They told me to meet them in town. I did, and I paid $1,000 for it all. They warned me that it'd cost more to fix. Still bought it. Long story short, I own the house and have to pay for everything. Ice. Can we get back to the story why there's a blood stain in the corner of the shed? That'd be great. Thanks. Me. This was the shed that turned my life into a nightmare scene, one that I've been never able to forget. When I found the shed, I went inside and looked around. In the back left corner, there was a faded blue blood stain, a hunting knife, and an illegible note with specks of faded blue. I panicked and chucked the knife into the woods. I got off my chair and leaned against the wall that had the door and put my head in my hands. I was about to say something when there was a thunk right next to me. Turned around and looked at what made the sound and noticed there was a blue speckled hunting knife blade sticking out of the wall. Which I recognized immediately. I went to grab it like a little kid when something pulled it out. No, 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 not again, I screamed, and took a small object off the wall and threw it at the uncovered light bulb. Made contact. Light went pop with a shatter of glass, and the shed went pitch black. Quickly, I grabbed my flashlight, clicked it on, and went to the back right corner, piled some totes in front of me, then clicked off my flashlight. Had the knife embedded somewhere by me before, but this is new, I whispered. I haven't seen the knife disappear yet. Ice told me to shut up. I think I hear someone. I heard the shed door creak open, but couldn't see anything. Damn it, Brock, I thought to myself. We piled the totes too high, and now you can't see what's going on. Hello? Anyone home? Someone said. I jumped up as I clicked on my flashlight. It hit my head on the shelf above me, knocking a bigger flashlight off, which also landed on me. I looked up at the shelf and asked, "Anything else you want to dump on me?" The shelf gave a soft groan and fell off the wall. I jumped out of the way, tripping over a tote, landed flat on my back on some glass shards. Ice leaned over me and said, "You should do that more often. That's what I call comedy act." Me. What the hell is going on? I'm so confused. Ice. I bet you are. You got double tapped by the shelf, and you tripped into all the glass. I got up and brushed myself off. I looked to my right and noticed a puddle of water on the floor. I grabbed my chair, moved back by the fallen shelf, and then repositioned it to be directly in front of the puddle of water. I grabbed my flashlight and started clicking it on and off in the direction of the water. Clicks on, clicks it off. Ice, what are you doing? Me. Kids in all the horror movies be like, started clicking the flashlight on and off a few more times. On the third click, an ice wing appeared in front of me, dripping water. I cut off the ice wing mid-sentence by turning off my flashlight. Dude, really? I was trying to be polite. Sorry, I said as I clicked the flashlight back on. He scared me a bit. Wasn't expecting my movie method to work. Ice. Wait, Slush, is that you? I haven't seen you in centuries. Where have you been? Slush. I'd rather not say. My flashlight was slowly getting dimmer and dimmer. So I said, hold that thought. I rummaged through a small box behind me and grabbed a random light bulb. I stood on my chair and screwed in the light bulb. As soon as I got the bulb fully in place, it decided to explode. Ah, what the fuck? I shouted as I toppled off my chair into some boxes, which hurt a lot. I got to my feet, dusted myself off, literally, and brushed the glass shards from my chair, then sat back down again. Me, Slush, I've had a moment to process why you don't want to say where you've been. You don't say it. Blanked yourself. Slush gave me a you're going to get what you deserve. Slush gave me a you're going to get what you deserve and tried to frost breath me. He aimed low so I was able to avoid pretty easily. Athletic skills, baby. Ice. Slush, cool it. Slush. Bold choice of words there, Ice. Ice. I'm part Ice Wing. I have the right to say that to you. Slush. Damn, you're right. Slush turned to Ice, said, sorry, then turned back to me and said, very sorry, you okay? Not very sincerely, though. Me? Yeah, I've been better. What I was going to add was that you're in the same boat as Ice. Looked at the thermometer on the wall near the window, which read 28 degrees. Then started to go up as Ice melted the frost breath on the floor. It hit 65 degrees, and I told Ice to stop before we all went out in a fireball of disappointment. You mean blaze of glory, right? Me? No, as my dad would say, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Wow, that hurt to say. Ice and Slush looked at each other with very hurt expressions. Did you feel that? Slush asked Ice. Ice said she did too. I also felt it, I said, and it hurts. A lot. Anyway, it's starting to get light out and we need to get to charcoal soon. Y'all ready? Slush froze and had a look of pure terror on his face. He's gone good, I promise you. Ice will explain on the way. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today, I said as it is sweep of my flashlight, scary type dim now, to showcase my face, then roll up my sleeves on my sweater to showcase my scratches. And you survived all those? Slush asked. Sounded surprised. Passed out from blood loss and then felt like shit after. But otherwise okay, I think. Ice asked Slush if he was ready to go. Before we left the shed, I grabbed 3 pairs of safety glasses, my bag, a crutch, and my crutch backstrap. Slush, why are you bringing a crutch? Me, in case my knee acts up. Slush gives me a confused look. Ice, I exploded a door and the doorknob hit his knee. Me, start the trip without me. I gotta go find my bike. Also, Ice, if you can, please try to get Slush caught up in what happened recently. Ice, okay. With that, I walked out of the shed and started into the woods. A little ways back, there was a brick shed that's bigger than the wood one. I opened the door and walked inside. I walked over to the bikes. I found them all around the property and picked the worst one out of all of them. It's a mountain bike it's a downhill bike with very worn and bouncy shocks on the front and a very rusty and worn coil spring under the seat. There's no paint left and parts of the frame are zip tied together. I grabbed it and started to roll it out of the shed when I remembered to grab my mini toolbox I put together specifically for that bike. I tied it to the frame underneath the seat and set off, leaving a trail of rust, dust, and flakes. It didn't take me long to catch up to Ice and Slush. How did you manage to catch up with your tetanus on wheels? Slush asked me. I'm a bachelor. I find ways around things. Also, I turned to look at Ice. Dumb luck. I sped off towards a ramp I made a while ago and yelled, "Eat my rust." I went off of it perfectly, but the landing wasn't the best. Okay, it was terrible. I landed flat on the wheels, The shocks and coil bottomed out. Some of my frame went up in a cloud of rust. I bent my rims, lost about half my spokes on each wheel, and the wheel bearings started to not sound great anymore. The toolbox was fine though. That was awesome, Slush exclaimed. Me, time to test the suspension now. Ice, you're gonna get yourself killed, and you're an idiot. Me, you're gonna hate the next obstacle I made then. Half an hour later. This is the next obstacle? Slush asked as he looked at the series of speed bumps I placed down. Slush, where did you get all of the speed bumps anyway? Me, stole them. Slush, that's good. Wait, what? Me, I'm joking. I bought 50 for $100. The city I got them from had a lot of extra speed bumps, so I bought 50. Also, Ice and Slush, if you don't want to be on YouTube, I would stand on the other side. There's a security camera on the other end. I activate it every time I go biking on this path. Here, can you take the toolbox with you? I have a feeling that this will be destructive. I handed the toolbox to Slush, and on they walked down the path. I yelled to them to stand clear. I backed up a bit to give myself a flying start. Camera, activate, and start recording. I sped off and yelled one final time, eat my rust. I went over the speed bumps and pieces started flying off. I got to speed bump 40 when I felt a sharp pain bit above my ankles. I'm going down, I screamed as my frame and tires started to detach. My front shocks broke. The coil under my seat vanished in a cloud of dust and rust. I popped my front wheel up, and what do you know? It detached itself and rolled away from the frame. And my handlebars snapped in half. I made split-second eye contact with Ice, then focused on the rest of my problems. I hit the next speed bump with my rear tire, and that wheel also detached itself along with some of the frame. 3 speed bumps before the end is where I ended up on the ground, all beaten up. Painfully, with my face bruised, my nose bleeding, and blood soaking through my destroyed jeans. I looked up at the camera and told it to stop recording. The red light blinked off, and the camera turned to face the untrailed woods. Slush, toolbox, gauze, please, I said on the verge of collapsing. I limped over to the nearest tree and let my nose bleed out. How'd I do? I said as Slush and Ice ran over to me. Ice, you nearly about killed yourself, and you're asking me how you did? You're insane. Slush, here's your gauze. I took it from Slush and started to wrap up the cuts on my arms and around both my ankles. What happened to your ankles? Slush and Ice asked me at the same time. My wheel spokes, they decided they didn't like me anymore. I responded, let's get going, and I need my crutch. Let's find that too. Half an hour later, when we arrived at Charcoal's place, he greeted me with a, what the hell happened and who's this strange ice wing? Slush took off his necklace and Charcoal immediately knew. Charcoal, hi Slush. Slush, hi Charcoal. Do anything to bother me and you will get a slush ball to the side of the head. Understood? Charcoal, understood. Now Brock, what the hell happened to you? Me, is there anything in the house that has a USB port? Charcoal, I found a laptop, but you'll have to find the charger. Me, I have a flash drive. That will explain what happened. Charcoal, let's talk inside, but beware, it's a mess. Charcoal held the door open and invited us inside. New door, I see, I said to Charcoal as I made my way to the living room. The old one I found in a billion pieces, all but the doorknob, Charcoal replied. I couldn't find that. I reached in my bag and tossed the doorknob behind me. Here you go, I said. I plopped down on the living room couch and started to immediately cough my lungs out. You know why? The cushion had to poof up a cloud of dust. I got up and opened up the window. Ha, that's funny. Startled, I looked over and Slush was standing in the doorway. You witnessed that entire thing, didn't you? Slush nods her head. Me, I'll be back. I need to change my bandages. I got up and hobbled to the bathroom using my crutch again. Halfway across the living room, I tripped over something and used my crutch to support myself, and it snapped in half, just like the last crutch did. I landed on the floor with a big oof as I got winded. Ice walked up to me and was immediately like, "Really? Again?" I said, "Yes, it really happened again." I worked my way up and made it to the bathroom without falling again. 5 minutes later, I got my bandages changed and called Ice, Slush, and Charcoal to the living room to have a quick meeting. Me: Charcoal, explain really quick why we're here. Charcoal: clean, find stuff, solve mysteries if there are any. As Charcoal was explaining the cleanup process, I sat down on the armchair and saw a black cord sticking out of it. I pulled it out and said, "Solve the mystery of the missing laptop charger." Charcoal: "Okay then. Anyway, everyone, put on your safety glasses and let's get cleaning." Me: "Hey, Charcoal, mind if I step outside for a moment to walkie-talkie Cobra?" Charcoal: "Yeah, more the better. While you do that, I'll charge the computer for the flash drive." Me: "Sounds good." I walked outside and started to contact Cobra. Me: "Cobra, Cobra, come in. Come in, Cobra." No response. Cobra: "Brock, where are you?" Me: "Guess." Cobra: "What the fuck? I told you not to leave again. And if you do, take me with you." Me: "I'm at Charcoal's. He needs help cleaning the house." Cobra: "On my way." Me: Wait, a couple things first. Please grab my cowboy hat, grab the best bike, and on the speed bumps, ignore the blood stains. I'll explain once you get here. Should I be concerned? That's for you to decide after you watch the video. I also need a bottle of peroxide. Cobra: "You ate shit on the speed bumps again, didn't you?" I gotta go. Clean now. Rock out. Cobra: "Cobra out." With that said, I clicked off the walkie-talkie and made my way inside. "Brock," Slush called out, "Charcoal told me to tell you to clean the kitchen." "Okie dokie," I responded. First thing I noticed when I walked into the kitchen was a pink 1970s era radio. I said to myself, "Wow, that's nice." And I kid you not, the radio responded with a very staticky and jumbled, "Help me, energy, look," and then the radio died. I sat there for a couple seconds and asked myself, what the fuck just happened? "Yo, everyone," I called out, "get in here." "What is it?" Slush said, as he, Charcoal, and Ice walked into the kitchen. Me: "The radio." Slush: "The radio. You made us come in here just to say the words, the radio." Radio: crackle, static, need, static, battery, crackle, crackle, static, ease. Slush and Ice jumped in surprise, while Charcoal looked at me and said, "You heard the radio. It needs help." Looked at the radio, then back to Charcoal, feeling a lot of guilt. "Okay," I said, and immediately walkie-talkie Cobra. Me: "Cobra, come in. Come in, Cobra." Cobra: "What is it now? I'm just about to leave the house." Me: "I need you to grab the bag of random batteries." Okay. Cobra: "Okay, I'll be there in the next hour or so." Cobra out. With that, I shut off the walkie-talkie. I looked over at the radio and said to it, "Don't worry, radio. New batteries are on the way." Radio: static. Me: "Okay, you can all go back to what you were doing before." Once everyone left the kitchen, I started cleaning. Once everyone left the kitchen, I started cleaning it. 50 minutes later, I heard a knock on the front door. "Brock, open up," Cobra shouted from outside. I sprinted to the door, opened it, and immediately gave Cobra a hug. Cobra: "Great to see you too. Also, you have a lot of explaining to do." Cobra grabbed something from behind her. It was the rear half of my destroyed bike. "Explain something to me," Cobra said. "Why this bike? Why are you special enough to think that this bike was a good choice?" Cobra drops her voice to a whisper. and I'm glad you ate shit on the speed bumps. Hope you learned your lesson. Would you like to come inside? I asked her. She said yes and walked inside, with what was left of my bike. I did a giant face palm and went to retrieve the radio. Grabbed the radio off the shelf it was sitting on, had it in my arms, and walked to the living room when it let out a very staticky "Thank you." I gave the radio a "You're welcome" and set it on the partially rotten coffee table. "Emergency meeting," Cobra yelled. "Is there a dead body reported?" I asked Cobra. Cobra: "One more Among Us reference and I will shut you down event." Me: "That's sus." That comment earned me a kick to one of my ankles. Oh, shit, I said in pain and collapsed on the couch. That's where I cut myself. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," Cobra exclaimed, and grabbed the bandages out of her bag. "What's going on?" Slush said as Ice, and Charcoal followed behind. Ice kicked my ankle. "Let me see the cuts," Cobra said, ignoring everyone else. I rolled up my pant leg and showed her my freshly blood-soaked bandages. "Can I have the bandages and peroxide, please?" I asked Cobra. "Yes, here you go," Cobra said as she shoved them into my arms. "I'll be right back," I said to everyone. Ice, please get Cobra caught up on who Slush is. And Charcoal, here's the video flash drive. If the computer needs a username and password, username is 71 and the password is 44. If password only, the password is 7144. That should get you logged in. I then walked into the bathroom. The bathroom has an old toilet and a sink with a mirrored cabinet above. I took off my old bandages, poured peroxide over my cuts and on the new bandages, then stepped in front of the sink. I turned on the faucet, not expecting any water. I looked at the water string for a minute or so and said to myself, "There's running water?" Then opened the cabinets on the shelf. There was a bottle of ibuprofen, a bottle of peroxide, of course, comb, toothbrushes, and toothpaste on the inside of the door. Oh, on the inside of the door, there was a small sandwich bag with some AA batteries. There was a yellow note next to the bag which said, "For the radio." I grabbed them along with the bottle of ibuprofen and limped out of the bathroom. "Do you think that it's safe to take this ibuprofen?" I asked Cobra after I plopped down on the armchair. "No," Cobra said. "Like I said before, I'm glad you ate shit on the speed bumps." "Let's move on from that and focus on the radio," I said, as I picked up the radio. The radio's pink, about the size of a half a loaf of bread, rounded edges, and has a dial you have to turn for the stations. "What about it?" Cobra asked. It spoke to us earlier, before you got here." Cobra: "BS." Slush: "Not BS. It actually spoke to us." Charcoal: "You should replace the batteries in the radio." Me: "Oh, speaking of that, I found these in the medicine cabinet." I placed the note and batteries on the table next to the radio. Once I did that, the dial light turned on, and the needle inside flicked back and forth, then stopped altogether. I gently picked up the pink radio and slid out the back panel covering the battery compartment. I got startled by what wasn't in there and almost dropped it. "What's wrong?" everyone asked me. "What's wrong?" I said. "What's wrong is that there's no batteries, and there never was." "Let me see," Charcoal asked. Slash commanded. "How do you know there never were batteries in it?" Charcoal: "The cartridge is still in here. Look." Charcoal pulled out a piece of plastic. It had two tubes on the end connected by a flat piece in between. This piece is to protect the battery compartment and the springs. And as you see here, there's no battery acid. It's spotless. Me: "Can I have the radio back, please?" "Here you go," Charcoal said as he passed me the radio back to me. I took it from him and put in the batteries from the bag. "I hope this works," I said as I inserted the last battery. I only needed two. And the radio started right back up with no static. This time, radio: "Thank you. Feels great to be back again." Cobra looked at me and asked, "What did you get yourself into again?" I replied with a yes. Cobra: "You're real, all right." I turned my attention back to the pink radio, and to it I asked, "What do you mean, again?" Radio. Open the bottle of ibuprofen. The key to the mystery's in there. Also, hey Ice, it's great to talk to you again. Ice looked dumbfounded. Well, everyone did actually. Me. Ice, how does everyone know you? For no reason at all. Then, for no reason at all, I took off my hard hat and asked Cobra to pass me a cowboy hat. I was feeling very uncomfortable without my cowboy hat as my comfort object. Cobra was about to toss it to me when there was a soft crack above me. I looked up and was immediately showered with bits of the ceiling. Everyone out, I screamed. The ceiling's going. I snatched my bag and the radio and bolted for the dining room. Roll call, I said as I brushed myself off. Me, charcoal, charcoal, here. Me, slush, slush, here. Me, ice, ice, here. Me, Cobra, Cobra, here. There was a loud crash from the living room, and a white cloud of ceiling particles started floating into the dining room. Let's open the windows, Cobra said. Animus time, I said. Windows open. No windows open. I'll be back, I said as I sprinted to the kitchen. Come back with a rusty red crowbar. I went over to the window and said, Crowbar time, windows open, as I pried the window open. After I got it propped open, I told everyone that I was going back into the living room. If you don't want to see me shirtless, you should probably close your eyes. Why exactly are you taking off your shirt? Cobra asked me. I don't want to get cancer breathing in all the drywall stuff. With that said, I took off my shirt and wrapped it around my face, then ventured into the white cloud of debris. I found my way to the master bedroom and searched the closet. What I was looking for wasn't there, but there was something even better. Hell yeah, I shouted. I found myself a shop vac. I rolled it out of the hallway, plugged it in, and started vacuuming the cloud of ceiling that was left in the air. I made my way to the living room window and somehow managed to open it without the crowbar. Now that the dust was settled, I was able to see the damage. There was a white powdered cover ladder hanging from the ceiling. I looked closer and realized it was an attic. I put my shirt back on and yelled, "We got an attic! Bring the crowbar!" Everyone rushed in, stirring up another cloud of white dust. Wow, great job, everyone, I said as I turned on the shop vac. I spent the next few minutes vacuuming the air and the floor. Once I was done, I grabbed the crowbar from Cobra and tossed the crowbar up into the attic. It hit the entry of the attic with a big clang, then fell to the floor, getting the straight end stuck in the floorboards. I looked at the crowbar, let out a big sigh, and said, "Here we go again." Charcoal asked me, again? Charcoal asked me. Before I could answer, a big gust of wind blew through the open window, stirring up all the settled white powder. "Let's get out of here," I said, in between some coughing fits. Pulled my shirt over my nose, found my cowboy hat, and then tried to run to the dining room to retrieve my bag, but my ankles restricted that, so I ended up practically getting dragged there by Cobra. "Thanks, Cobra," I said as I slung my bag over my shoulder. "No problem," Cobra responded. "Let's get outside." I followed Cobra through the kitchen and out the back door. Everyone was waiting. "What's the waiting for? Let's have some fun while the dust clears itself," I said. "Radio." "We had to wait for you. You missed my introduction. My name is Snake Eyes. Any other information is in the attic. Put me on the windowsill and go have some fun." Charcoal, who was holding Snake Eyes, the radio, set it down on the windowsill. "Got a game we could play," I said to everyone. "Charcoal, have you found a storage shed yet in this property?" Charcoal said if I looked behind me, I'd know. So I looked behind me. "Oh," I said, "there is one." It was a small made of wood and sheet metal and had a rusty screen door. I walked over to it and tried to open the screen door. It wouldn't budge. "Need help?" Slush called out to me. "No," I called out back as I took off one of my steel work boots. I smacked the sides of the 3 door hinges. Tried to open the screen door again and was successful. It swung all the way out, then decided that it didn't like being part of the shed and fell off, shattering a glass pane on impact with the ground. I looked at the fallen screen door then at everyone else, shrugging my shoulders, then walked inside. I found a small box that said assorted knives, some thick plywood boards, and some cans of spray paint. Then carried them out and set them out in front of the group. Charcoal, care to explain the game? Cobra, I know already. I'll make some bullseyes. Me, knife throwing. I reached into my bag and grabbed my orange spring-loaded knife and the all-jet black knife. I tossed Charcoal the knife and said, "Here's your knife." Ice grabbed her knife from a bag. "You have a knife, Cobra?" I asked. "Believe it or not," Cobra said, "I do have my own knife." Cobra bent down and pulled out a thin pocket knife from her shoe. "Call this one Thin Silver. It's a little wider than a popsicle stick, and watch this." Cobra flicked her wrist and the blade slid out with a shing and a click. "Click?" I asked. "Why did it click?" "The blade's locked in place," Cobra explained, and it's Cobra was interrupted by an ear-piercing whistle. "Oop, sorry, Bracken Cobra," Flush said. I was just calling for my knife. Should be here any moment. Carry on with the conversation." "I was just saying that my knife is ready to throw," Cobra said. I heard a whoosh behind me. "My knife arrived," Ice exclaimed. "That's how it arrived." "Airmail," Slush said. "Wow," I said. "That was fast." Ice, ready to start? Me, no, I gotta set up my knife. I opened my spring-loaded knife, slid out a small panel, and took out a small titanium pin and inserted it into the top part of the handle, while slightly pushing in the blade. "What are you doing?" everyone but Ice asked me. I think that Ice already knew. "Locking my spring-loaded knife." "Spring-loaded knife," Slush said. I said, "I'm the definition of why stupid and creative don't mix." I then finished setting up my knife by sliding the panels I moved back into place. I folded down the two bars on top of the handle, and it clicked in place. "Everyone ready?" I asked as Cobra set up the target about 50 feet away. I waited for Cobra to join our group, then explained further into the game. Scoring is like this: if you hit the outside of the ring, if you hit outside of the outside ring, your knife doesn't stick to the target, or you miss the target entirely, you lose a point. Hit the target, you gain nothing. The person/dragon who has a negative number furthest from 0 loses. Also, no animus interference. Any questions? Slush, can I use animus magic to retrieve my knife? Me, yes. Since you, Charcoal, and Ice have animus powers, you can retrieve your knife that way. Just don't kill anyone. If you don't want to retrieve it, I can. Let me demonstrate. I handed my knife over to Cobra and told her to throw it somewhere close. Then I took off my left boot and asked Slush for his knife. Slush handed it to me, and with it I pried out a small rectangle plug. I popped it out and took out a small chip that was inside the plug. I then grabbed my walkie-talkie and shoved the chip in the bottom. I turned the walkie-talkie on and said, "Knife search activate." It let out a beep and I started searching. Me, the knives that everyone has, except for Slush's, has a small tracker in it. So if I lose them, I'd be able to find them. The walkie-talkie started to beep very fast. I took my mini saw blade from my pocket and tossed it to Charcoal. "Keep this safe." "Will do," said Charcoal. Me, the chip I inserted turns this walkie-talkie into a tracker. If I'm far away, it will beep slowly. The closer I get, the faster it beeps. I walked around for a bit, following the beeps till I found my knife. 2 minutes later. "Sound off the cannons," I said as I got ready to throw my knife. "Hee-haw!" I cried as I threw my knife. My knife was the last to hit the board. Then the table started to turn. Thunk, 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 thunk. Metal pipe sound. Ice, is your knife supposed to make that sound? No, it's not. There's no play in between parts. Cobra, something's wrong. I just know it. Me, Ice, I need you to bring back my knife. Ice, done. With my knife reappeared in my hand, I was just about to throw my knife again when Cobra told me not to. Cobra, shh. Think I hear movement. There is a continuous, soft crunching sound coming from the woods behind the target. I whispered to Cobra to reach in my bag and grab my sunglasses. Without hesitation, Cobra grabbed my sunglasses, scooted over shoulder to shoulder next to me. She handed the sunglasses over behind her back. I grabbed them from her, hiding them behind my back. I put them on. I know, you might be wondering why I put on a pair of sunglasses on. They're not normal sunglasses. I'm able to see ghosts with them. I developed them with the help of Starflight. And I wasn't surprised to see a dragon standing by the target, right where we heard the footsteps. Cobra, see anything? Me. There's a dragon standing there. I yelled out at the dragon that only I could see. Who are you and what do you want? My walkie-talkie that was clipped on my side of my jeans turned on. Walkie-talkie. It doesn't matter who I am. You'll be dead soon enough. I leaned over, still facing the dragon by the target, next to Cobra and whispered to her. Grab my bag, get Snake Eyes, and get into the attic. Then I dropped my voice even further into a barely audible whisper. I have a headache. Cobra whispered back. I love you as much as I love the Florida Keys. And that's a lot. Cobra grabbed my bag and sped off to the house door, with everyone else following her. Walkie-talkie. I'll deal with them later. You first. I really didn't want to listen to the dark, gravelly voice anymore. So I very defiantly said to the dragon, while holding up the walkie-talkie, watch this. I took out the batteries and chucked them into the woods that were on the left side of me. Oops, I said. My hand slipped. I got about 2 seconds of silence, then the walkie-talkie came back on with it. You can't get rid of me that easily, Brock. I stood my ground and beckoned the dragon to try to kill me. In retaliation, the dragon ripped one of the knives from the target and threw it at me. Slush's, to be exact. I caught it half blade, half handle. The pain was terrible, but it just fueled my anger further. I took Slush's knife and tossed it at the house, spatter and blood everywhere on impact. All of a sudden, the living room window squeaked open. Cobra poked her head out and yelled, Brock, get your ass in here before you get yourself killed. I immediately ran towards the window and jumped through it, ripping my jeans more on the frame, and then fell to the unforgiven floorboards below. Cobra slammed the window shut, making the window pane rattle. Charcoal. So, how'd it go? Me. There's a ghost dragon outside, my hand is bleeding, and I just got abused by the floorboards. And you just asked me how'd it go. How do you think it went? Charcoal. Better than the time I tried to kill you, I assume. I turned to look at Slush and told him to start the comedy script. You know what to do, I said to Slush, and gave him a playful shove. Ice took off his necklace and created a slush ball in the palm of his hand, then threw it at Charcoal, all before he realized what was happening. The slush ball hit Charcoal's left wing, spraying water everywhere. Charcoal looked at Slush and said, You mit, and then he got hit right between the eyes by another slush ball, cutting him off mid-sentence. Ow, okay, you win, Charcoal said before Slush could throw another one. Slush didn't reply back, instead looked out the window. He's gone, Slush said. He's gone. Wait, I said, putting pieces in place. You can see him too, can't you? I'm not in the same boat as you. I'm not in the same boat as you. My boat's still afloat still, Slush explained. Throw me a life preserver when you have the time, I said as I plopped down on the couch. Also, can someone toss me the gauze, please? Thank you. I held up my hand to show them that blood was still dripping down my arm. Brock, Slush said. What? Oh, sorry, go on, I got off topic, I said, as Slush explained how he could feel the presence of the ghost dragon. Cobra tossed me a roll of gauze, and I wrapped it around my still bleeding hand. Once Slush was done explaining, I started a barrage of questions. Me. Where's Snake Eyes? Large thump from the attic above my head. Oh, what the fuck? Cobra. Ha, should have seen the look on your face. Did that answer your question? Me. You think? I looked over at Charcoal and noticed he was holding a whiteboard that had a tally set up on the top half. Um, On the top half, it said Snake Eyes, and the bottom half said Brock. And of course, there was a tally under Snake Eyes' name. Very funny, Charcoal, I said. My very, my very own design, Charcoal said back. I looked up at Ice. She caught my eye and knew. Oh no, I said. Me. You know what's my very own design? Charcoal. What? Me. Wait a minute. Does anyone know where the pieces of my crutch are? I need the handle part. Cobra. It's underneath what you're laying on. I reached under the couch and pulled out the top half of my crutch. So what's Charcoal? So what's the very own design? Me. Dumb luck. I slammed the half. I slammed the half a crutch on the floor. Then a moment later, the piece of window frame Charcoal was standing in front of broke off and smacked him on the head. Wow, what the hell was that for? Charcoal exclaimed. Reality shouldn't work like that, like this, and you know it. Me. I reject your reality and substitute my own. Cobra. Did you just yeah, me? Yes, I just quoted Adam Savage from Mythbusters. Also, score 1 for me and you, Charcoal. Get none. Charcoal looked pretty mad and got that look in his eyes. If I could, I would give you some degree of burns. You're not burning me today, Charcoal, I said. No can do. Besides, we have bigger problems. Charcoal said that he had a problem, that I somehow read his mind. Charcoal, you're not the only one who gives me that look. Every time I do something dumb in front of Cobra, I get the if looks could kill type of look. The way she looks, though, could make anyone drop dead. Cobra immediately grabbed the chair cushion and chucked it at me, hitting me square in the chest. Ha ha, ow, I said. And I said softer. I hurt. Everything hurts. Boo-hoo, Cobra said. You got me into this shit. Now you're gonna get me out, whether you want to or not. Okay then, I said. Let's get to work. A couple people need to check the attic. I got off the couch, grabbed what was left of my crutch, and tossed it at the folded up ladder. It made contact and the ladder folded down. So someone tossed me the bottle of ibuprofen. Got a headache. Then I turned and winked at Cobra. I bet you do, Cobra said to me. I bet you do. While Cobra rummaged around in my bag, I decided to take out the metal detector chip in my walkie-talkie, which was still clipped on the front of my jeans. Put it back in my boot. As I was putting it back, I realized Cobra's knife was embedded in the back of my right boot. Cobra, catch. Cobra yelled to me. Or, Brock, catch. Cobra yelled to me. A bit too late. I looked up and got hit by the bottle of ibuprofen. Ow! I cried out. Isn't ibuprofen supposed to relieve headaches, not make them worse? I rejected your reality and substitute my own, Cobra told me. I ignored Cobra and opened the bottle. Guys, I said, where's the key? It's in the bottle, Charcoal said. Oh, really? I said, very sarcastically. If it is, then find it. I flipped the bottle upside down and dumped all the little red round pills on the floor. Slush, ice, Cobra, I said, on the verge of tears. Please, head home. It's starting to get dark, and you all should go. I plopped down on the couch, put my head in my hands, and started crying softly. I heard footsteps coming my way. I looked up, and Cobra was standing in front of me. Give me one good reason we should leave, Cobra softly told me. I can't protect you all, I explained, in between tears. It's all my fault. It's all my fault you're all involved in this. It's my fault I can't solve this. It's my fault pissed off Ghost Dragon is after me. What I'm afraid of is that the Ghost Dragon can't get to me. He'll go after you instead. I put my head back in my hands and continued sobbing. Brock, look at me, Cobra said still, speaking softly. I looked up, my vision blurred with tears. None of this is your fault. Shit happens. You're a great friend, don't forget that. Cobra got up and said to Ice and Slush, let's go. Then turned back to me and said, I'll contact you when I get home. Cobra turned to the door, grabbed my cowboy hat, and gave it a toss to me. Be strong, cowboy. I know you are. Wait, I said as Grover was about to walk out the door. I have your knife. I pulled the blade out of my boot, closed it, then gave it a long toss. Go, I said, before it gets dark. Inform Starflight what's happened. With tears in her eyes, Cobra gave a nod of approval and headed out the door, along with Slush and Ice. I waited a few minutes, then spoke. Well, let's get this attic door open, but first I gotta find a sweatshirt. It's cold in here. Charcoal told me to check the master bedroom closet. I got off the couch and went into the master bedroom. I opened the closet and grabbed a sweatshirt. Put it on, then looked to see what it said. And it said, have a terrible fucking day. In bold red letters. Oh, this sweatshirt is awesome, I said in an excited tone. Makes me feel a lot better. Strange. No response from Charcoal. I walked back to the living room and found Charcoal trying to reattach the piece of window frame that hid him. Struggling, I said. Charcoal gave me a very sarcastic, what do you think? Me. Don't underestimate dumb luck, Charcoal. And don't forget Karma's a bitch. Charcoal. And you are too, Brock. Me. If we survive the night, tomorrow, ask how Ice got a pocket knife in her tail. That will be a lovely story for you. Charcoal finally got the piece back up when he said to me, I'm not afraid of dumb luck. That pissed me off a bit, so I kicked the wall next to Charcoal, and the same piece Charcoal put up fell on him again. Karma's a bitch, isn't it? I said to Charcoal. Fine, you win, Charcoal said. Now stop abusing me. Me, as you wish. Did you find the key? Charcoal. No. Like the sweatshirt, by the way. Me, thanks. Have you seen the crowbar recently? Charcoal. No. I think the pissed off ghost dragon took it. Me, Animus? Charcoal. I already tried. It didn't work. Me. I'll be right back. Do you think that it's still safe to take the ibuprofen still? Charcoal walked over to the mess of ibuprofen, scattering them every which way with his tail, then made them disappear altogether. You can have some if you find them, Charcoal said smugly. I reached into my pocket and felt something like cold steel. I then pulled out an ibuprofen tablet and showed it to Charcoal. I said, found one, then flicked it at him. It missed Charcoal and went rolling under the couch. Also, I found this, I said as I pulled a skeleton key out of my pocket. I tossed it to Charcoal and very slowly said, don't ask. And then turned to the closet wall. And then I turned slowly to the closet. And then turned to the wall closest to me. Then slowly started banging my head on the wall. We're all gonna die, thud. We're all going to die, thud. We're all going to... Charcoal. Brock, stop. We're not going to die. Me, die, thud. There was a thump by the right side of my head. I slowly turned that direction and came face to face with a sharp CD. I pulled it out of the wall. I held it in front of me, then painfully slid to the floor. I looked at my reflection for a couple seconds, noticing all the scratches, scrapes, cuts, bruises, and the 4 long scratches running along my face, which I forgot about. Then slowly rolled the disc away from me, where it rolled under the armchair. Me. Why me? Out of all the people in the world, why does it have to be me in these situations? Charcoal. I reject your reality and substitute my own. I looked up and gave Charcoal a confused, tired look. Charcoal. You don't understand, do you? Me. No. Please explain. Charcoal. Look, you're special, Brock. Cobra 2. Me. Actually special or special ed? Charcoal. Actually special, and you know why? Me. Why, Charcoal? Why am I special? I like to act stupid. Barely have a social life. I know more dragons than humans. Charcoal. That's the point. Me. That I like to act stupid? Charcoal. No. You know dragons. Us. That's why you're special. How many people do you think know of us? Me. I don't know. Believers, you believe in us. Maybe that's why you're in all this. Not trying to make it sound like you shouldn't, though. Maybe not. The point is, me, you're all here for me, I said as I cracked a smile. What would I do without you? Charcoal told me to stand up. You know what time it is? I told him. I didn't. I told him I didn't. Charcoal, it's ass kicking time. At the same time, I said, I'm going to get my ass kicked. Charcoal told me that I had a great battle cry. Happens every time, I replied back. You check the attic, and I'll talk to Snake Eyes or find information about what we're dealing with. I have to grab something from the kitchen, then I'll be right back on the lookout for danger. Charcoal, when does getting your ass kicked come into play? Me, soon. Very soon. Charcoal, and how do you know that exactly? Me, look around you. This living room light's the only one on. It's just us. And I took off my sweatshirt and shirt. Me, I already got my ass kicked twice before. I had scratches and cuts all over my chest and arms. Charcoal, how'd you get the slash marks on the left side of your neck? I asked Charcoal what the hell he was talking about. And in response, Charcoal grabbed the CD from under the armchair and skidded it across the ground to me. See for yourself. Can you even feel it? The CD stopped in front of my right boot. I picked it up and held it at an angle so I could see the left side of my neck. And Charcoal was right. It seemed to be more shallow than the ones you gave me, and yes, it's starting to hurt a bit now that I've noticed. They don't seem to be bleeding though, I explained. Before you head up to the attic, can you toss me the gauze and turn on the kitchen light? Thanks. Charcoal tossed me the gauze roll from the couch, then used Animus to turn on the kitchen light. For a split second, I thought I saw a dragon in the kitchen. I turned to look at Charcoal and told him to get in the attic. He did, then shut the trapdoor behind him. All was quiet. I put back on my shirt and the sweatshirt, then shoved the gauze into the pocket of the sweatshirt. Then walked into the kitchen. It took me a few minutes, but I finally found what I was looking for. Charcoal's machete. I grabbed it from the cabinet beneath the sink, then headed back to the living room. Before I plopped down on the couch, went over to the attic ladder, climbed a few rungs, then tapped the trapdoor with the machete. A few seconds passed before it opened. If you were in the attic, you would pull the trapdoor up. And Charcoal leaned his head out and asked me if I had a question. Yeah, I said. Hypothetically, if I had to go to the hospital for my injuries, what would I tell them? Charcoal, I know a doctor who can take care of you. He lives right outside of town. Me, is he a dragon too? Charcoal, actually you'd be wrong. We've been friends. He's human. We've been friends since the late 1990s. I must have had a blank expression because Charcoal muttered to himself, shit, I broke him. Me, no, I'm good. I'm just confused. You were evil. How did you have friends? And how long have you been living among us? Charcoal, first question, I still had a nice side. And second question, I've been living in your world since the 1970s. Me, no comment. You can continue with whatever you were doing. Charcoal, okay, also put my machete back where you found it. I wanted to get broken. I rolled my eyes as Charcoal shut the trapdoor. I got off the ladder, then plopped on the couch, then hid the machete under the pillow next to me. So if Charcoal checked on me, he wouldn't see that I still have it. I propped my feet on the coffee table and saw the bag of batteries. I instantly grabbed them and put a couple in walkie-talkie, then turned it on and contacted Cobra. Me, Cobra, come in, Cobra. Silence. Me, Cobra, pick up, Cobra. Cobra's voice came shouting through the walkie-talkie. Cobra, holy fuck, it's about time. Why didn't you reply? I thought you died. Cobra starts crying. Me, Cobra, it's okay, but I can't talk long. Is there anything you need to inform me Is there anything you need to inform me about? But make it a quick summary, please. Cobra. We made it home safe. Starflight won't stop worrying. Also, he made a second pair of ghost shades, so now he's scared shitless. He said when he put them on, he saw an old lady. The lady said, just wanted to say hi, then vanished before his eyes. Then he locked himself in his room. I know you can't talk long, so I wanted to say one last thing. I love you, and don't die. Cobra out. The line went dead, so I clicked. The line went dead, so I clicked the walkie-talkie off. Then grabbed the machete and buried it into the edge of the coffee table with a loud thunk. I heard Charcoal yell from the attic, Brock, put my machete away. I yelled back, if you make it disappear on me, you're going to make me defenseless and I might get injured and / or killed. Think about that. I got no response from Charcoal, so I began my lookout. Some time later, I woke up to the sound of clattering dishes, as if someone was dropping them on the floor. I slowly rose to the sitting position and realized not a single light was on. I got up feeling for my bag and drunkenly stumbled over the coffee table, which I fell on, breaking it under my weight with a loud crack. I felt around with my hand around the coffee table till I found my bag, which was under the broken coffee table. I don't remember putting this here, I thought to myself. I grabbed it and rummaged around for my flashlight. I found it and flicked it on in the direction of the kitchen, just as a plate rolled out into the living room. I looked at it for a long moment and went, no, no, no. Then plopped back on the couch and reached out to grab the machete. That wasn't there. And here we go again, I said. Charcoal, I need the machete back. No response. Besides another plate rolling out of the kitchen. That's shit, I said as I got off the couch to turn the living room light on, which was by the entrance to the kitchen. The layout is the living room entrance. Walk through that is the hallway. Go in the opposite direction. Then entrance to kitchen. I took my CD with me for protection, which was Bryan Adams' Cuts Like a Knife, and made it across the room with no issue. As I reached out to flick on the switch, something from behind me grabbed me and held a machete to my throat. So, a dark, gravelly voice said, we meet again. Are you the dragon that's been tormenting us? I asked, wincing as the machete pressed a little deeper into my throat. Are you the asshole who keeps annoying me? The dragon said. Me, yes. Now can you stop digging your claws into my shoulder? I don't like being touched. I cried out in pain as he dug his claws deeper into my shoulder. And I reached out to flick on the living room light. I was successful, and bright light lit up the room, and the dragon who took me hostage disappeared. The machete dropped at my feet and clattered to the floor, just like a cockroach. Turn on the light and they disappear, I said as I picked up the machete, which was blood-stained. I wiped my throat with a piece of gauze from my pocket. It came back red. I did it again with a new piece, and it came back clean. I got confused, so I looked at my reflection with the CD. There was no knife mark. I stared at the machete in horror as I realized whose blood it was. I looked up at the attic door and noticed a small amount of blood was dripping down. Panicking, I ran to my bag, grabbed my walkie-talkie, and I started screaming that Cobra needed a pickup. Cobra answered immediately. Cobra, what's wrong? Do you need help? Yes, I screamed into the walkie-talkie. Yes, I need help. Charcoal's dead. He's in the attic, and I can't get up there because he took the fucking key with him. Cobra, how do you know he's dead? And he can't really die. Me, there's blood dripping from the trapdoor. I dropped my voice to a panic mode, normal. Me, ironically, I think he got his throat slashed. And I know it was with his own machete, because I just got it held against my throat by the dragon trying to kill me not even 2 minutes ago. Cobra, holy fuck. How do we help? How do I help? Me, I changed my mind. I'll deal with this myself. It's too dangerous for anyone else. I'll leave this on, but I'm putting it on one way. You'll be able to hear me, but I won't be able to hear you. Think about it as a one-way mirror. And in this case, voice rise into panic mode, skeptical. There is a crime scene on the other side. I turned my walkie-talkie to one-way mode, then clipped it onto my jeans, which I realized were turning into ragged shorts. New achievement. Turn a nice pair of jeans into ragged shorts, I thought to myself. I made my way to the bathroom, avoiding the slowly growing pool of blood. You know what's worse than a homicidal dragon? Cleaning up the mess that the homicidal dragon made. I slid open the cabinet and grabbed a white towel. Why are there only white towels? I said out loud. I unfolded it, then grabbed another one to be safe. Then I walked back to the pool of blood, which had stopped dripping from the attic trapdoor. I threw a towel on the pool of blood, turning the towel red, then wiped off the ladder. I tossed that towel on the other, then walked to the couch and plopped down. I had a feeling of dread, so I started searching between the cushions and found something close to what I was looking for. I shoved it into my hoodie pocket and whispered to myself, Cobra, found something that could save my life. Here's a clue. The dragon I'm dealing with vanishes when you turn on a light. Out of the blue, to the right of me, I heard a crinkling noise just out of thin air. I looked over in that direction, and there was a yellow note. I hesitated to pick the note up, but I did anyway. The note said, Charcoal's wound has closed. He should wake in the next hour or so. The key is gone, and the murderous dragon / my ex is Midnight. He's an animist, but can die. The only way to get rid of him is to kill him. I know you would object, but his soul cannot be saved. It's long gone. I tried, and it got me killed. Your priority right now is to get me out of the attic. Also, get what you found ready. You'll need it. Snake Eyes. Fuck, I screamed as I punted a piece of the coffee table across the room. Your ex, I screamed into the empty air. Your fucking ex. Are we back in the time? If dinner and a martini weren't made, there'd be a problem? What kind of fucked up chick flick is this? There was a loud bang above my head, which didn't surprise me. I stood there silently, catching my breath and getting my nerves together. I'm sorry, Snake Eyes, I said. I'm sorry. I grabbed my walkie-talkie, switched it back to two-way mode, and caught Cobra mid-conversation. Starflight, stop being a chicken. Get out of your fucking room. Starflight, no, I'll give you the glasses, though. Door creaks open. Cobra, I'm putting them on. Now I'm turning behind. Well, fuck you, too. I can do that as well. Starflight, were you talking to me? Cobra, no, some dude behind me was giving me both his middle fingers, so I returned the favor. Then he disappeared. Cobra, come in. Come in, Cobra, I said. I heard all of that. The walkie-talkie line went dead. Silent. Usually, if both are on, there's very faint static. But there was nothing. Cobra, me, Cobra. Me, concerned. Cobra, me, desperate. Cobra! At this point, I was shaken so bad I dropped the walkie-talkie. It clattered to the floor as the living room lights started to dim. No, not now, not now, I whispered. I quickly grabbed the small flashlight out of my pocket and flicked it on, blinding me. Put my hand over the bulb and shouted, Holy shit! What is in this thing? A whole damn searchlight? I let a little light through my fingers so I could see. Then noticed a little dial on the side of it. I turned it backwards, dimming the light to the brightness of a normal flashlight, as the living room light decided to pop in a shower of glass shards. Ignoring the shattered light, I shone my light. And that is all I got. Thank you for bearing with me. Sorry there's some swearing, but too late for that. I just want to say, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you. Comment. I will try continuing working on these more if I have time. They're just passion projects. Well, anyway, thank you so much. Brock out.